What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to illustrate how to communicate between components and manage state at a basic level. Now there's several ways to do this, but we'll take a look at the most basic way, which is using props and events. Now at this point we only have one component called to-do list, and all the application state lives in there as well. So if you take a look at our code, you'll see that we only have this one to-do list component that we made in the last video. Now, practically speaking, this is perfectly fine since our app isn't very big, but for the sake of demonstration, let's make an extra component so we can see how to communicate between them, specifically between parent and children. So let's make a new component called TodoListItem, and that component will house one of the items. So let's go ahead and do that. So TodoItem.view, and let me just do template. Item goes here, and let's put a script in here, and let's give it a name of TodoItem. Okay, cool. Let me just hide this, and then we'll save that. Now go back to our list, and we can add that right here. So we can import it, import TodoItem from TodoItem, and then we can add it to a new components property, and we can do TodoItem. Okay. Sorry, forgot the comma. Cool. Okay, now let's use this in our new component. So I'm just going to grab whatever is inside this for. So it's this and this. I'm going to cut that out. Actually, let me just comment it out. Copy it and comment it out. And then we're going to go to our to-do item. We're going to have a root div that has a class of to-do item, and then we'll paste the rest in. And now back to our to-do list. Instead of this div, we're gonna loop over that new component, to-do item. And we don't need this class anymore because we're putting it in the component. Okay. So you'll see that the to-dos no longer show here. And let me just show you a diagram of what we have. So right now we have this root/parent component, which has the array of to-dos. And this array of to-dos is our single source of truth. So remember that, because there's going to be instances where the state is different from within here than it is within here. And these two are our children components, which we're going to pass data into from our root component. So the most basic way of communication, like I said earlier, is to use props to pass info from the parent to the children. So we're going to use props. I know you like my writing. Props. And then to communicate that information back up, we're going to use custom events. So props down and events up. Let me just finish writing this. Okay. So what props do we need to pass in from here to here? We obviously need to pass in the actual to-do. So let's go ahead and do that. So right here where we're iterating over it, we can do something like this. To-do, we're going to pass it in as a prop, and we're going to pass in the to-do we're currently iterating over. We are also going to need the index, so let's pass that in as well. And that should be okay for now. Now in our actual to-do item, we have to accept those props. So we can go down here and have a new section called props. And you can use an array to specify them. But if you look at the style guide for Vue, it's better to use an object and be more specific about your props. So let me show you what I mean. So props is an object, and we're going to take in a to-do, and that's an object as well. The type to-do is an object, and we want to make sure that it comes in. So let's set required to true. And this way, when we're doing it like this, if we forget to pass it in, or if we're not passing in the correct type, then Vue gives us very specific warnings, and it's easier to debug our code. Let me just move this down. And then we're going to take in an index, and then type is a number, and required is also true. So if we take a look at this, now we have our to-do items being passed through correctly and showing, because in our template it was the same name, and right here we're showing the title. So if we try to interact with this, it's no longer going to work because we moved all the logic to do with to-do items into this new component. So we have to do some work here. So in Vue, you can't mutate props. So what are we going to do about that? So when you're in an instance that you have to mutate props, and we do have to mutate a prop because we're going to edit the title and the completed status. So when you're in that situation, then we have to take the props in as data, like this. So data returns an object, and let's just pass in the things we are going to mutate. We're not going to mutate the ID, but we'll pass it in anyways. So we're just taking it in and assigning it to the prop. So title for sure we're going to be mutating. So this dot to do dot title. Completed we're going to be mutating. So this dot to do dot completed. Editing we will. So this dot to do dot editing, and we also want to move that before edit cache property to here, because now it should belong in here. Okay, cool. Now if you go back up to our template, since we have our own data now that we're assigning from the prop, we no longer need this to do dot. So let's remove all of those instances. Remove that, and that. Cool. And also these instances where we're passing in the to-do to the specific method, we no longer need those two. So let me just remove those. Cool. Now, none of this is going to work yet because all of these methods refer to methods that are on the to-do list component. So let's go ahead and grab them. Let's start with deleting. So remove to do. So if you take a look at remove to do in here, remove to do, what's happening here? We are modifying the to-dos array, but we don't have that in our child component. So let's do this instead. Let's make a new method right here. So methods, remove to do, take in the index, and since we don't have access to that to-dos array, what we can do is emit an event and then listen for that event in the parent, so then the parent can do the work. So let's go ahead and emit an event. And to do that, you just call the $emit function. This is the event that will be emitted. It's a custom event. Let's call it removed to do. So it's like the past tense. And then here, as a second argument, we can just pass in whatever data that custom event needs. And in this case, it's the index. So now, let me save that. If you look into the Vue DevTools, actually, there's a section here that says events. Which one's events? This one. So if we click this, we should be able to see those events emitted. And there it is, that remove to do that we just defined. And now all we have to do is listen in on the parent and respond accordingly. So let me show you how to do that. First, back to this diagram. So what we're doing is we're going to emit an event from the child up to here, and then this parent component can listen in and act accordingly. Okay. So we called it removed to do. Let's just go back into the parent, and we can listen for it up here where we define the component. So right here. And we can do at removed to do. And then what do we want to do when that happens? We want to call the normal remove to do method, which we already have defined from before. So remove to do, this one. And since we're passing in the index already from here, that's what gets passed into here, and then we just do the work from before. So this should work now. If I remove this, then it should emit an event to the parent, and then it should delete. And it does. Cool. Okay, now let's look at editing. So back to our child component, and let's look at what happens when we double click. So we have this edit to do method. So let's take a look at what happens in the edit to do right here. So this now lives in the child component, so we can still do that. And so does this. So we can basically just copy this method and use the local data for this. Sorry, that goes in here. So we no longer need this because it's already local. And any reference to do is just a reference to this now, since we have it locally. And this .editing is true. Okay. Now let's see what else happens. We have this done edit, and we have this cancel edit method. So let's take a look at what's going on in the parent component. We have this done edit and cancel edit. Let's go ahead and copy this. Let's put it in here, and let's do the same thing. So we no longer need this to do since we have it locally. We don't need this. Should be this. And the same with cancel edit. So let me just move this and change these to this. But for this done edit, we have to do one more thing. We have to emit an event to the parent so the parent can update the to-dos array. You see in here, in done edit, we don't have to do anything after here because the to-dos are being passed in and they're being changed, and that in turn edits the to-dos array. But since we're passing in as a prop here, we have to notify the parent that it's changed. So let's go ahead and do that. So same as here, where we're emitting an event. Let's grab this. and I'm going to call it FinishedEdit. And now we're going to pass in a few things. We're going to pass in the index, and that's going to be this dot index. And we're going to also pass in the to do. So to do is just an object, and ID is this dot ID. Title is this title. Completed this completed, and editing is this editing. And that should emit the event. Let's see if it emits the event. So, okay, so that works now. Let me just clear this. And when we blur off of this, it should emit a new event. And it does, that finished edit. So at this point, we can reach a state where the to-do item and the single source of truth to-dos are in a different state. So if I do this, take over world right now, if you take a look at the components, the single source of truth in the to-do list is not updated yet. It's still take over world. See? But the actual to-do list item is take over world right now. So what we have to do is we have this event emitting already. We have to just replace this to-dos. Let me show you the diagram. We have to replace this to-dos with the thing we updated in the child. So let's go ahead and do that. So back to our parent component, same as what we did before. Let's listen for the finished edit custom event that we just made in the child component, and let's call a finished edit method. So let's go ahead and define that finish edit method. So where's methods? There, just add it down here. So finished edit, and it's going to take in the data that we specified right here. So we have data.index and we have data.todo. So let's go back in there. And all we have to do is update the to-dos, which is the single source of truth. We're going to use splice, and the index is coming in as the data.index. And we are replacing one item, and we are replacing it with data.todo. And that should update the single source of truth, so everything is in sync. So let's go ahead and double check. So let's try it again. Take over world right now. If I press enter, now both the single source of truth, take over world right now, and this should be in sync, and they are. Awesome. Now let's take a look at this check all component that we did last time. So this is not checking these two like it should, and it's not checking it when everything else is checked. So let's go ahead and work on that. So let's pass in another prop, similar to what we did here. We have a to-do index. Let's also pass in a prop called check all, and that is going to be this computed property like we did here. So let's just grab this and let's put that in there, and let's accept that in our props. right here, check all. It's a Boolean and it's required. Actually, put that on hold for 1 second. We have to work on this. So there's a case where, let me show you. This is set to completed. I'll show you here. Completed is true, but the single source of truth, as you can see here, it's not updating this because the to-dos is not updated. Right here, it's still false. So how can we fix that? We have to listen in on whether or not this is clicked, and when it is, we have to emit an event as well to the parent, similar to what we did when we did this. So that's pretty straightforward. All we have to do is listen in on the checkbox when it changes, and we can call that same method the done edit, because we want to emit the same event. And this doesn't matter, so it's just going to ignore that. This doesn't matter too, but this is what we want to have happen. So now, if I refresh, these two should be in sync. So you saw that change, so you know it works. So completed is true, and completed should be true. There it is, cool. Okay, now back to the check all. You can see that it's now working with the case where we check both and it automatically checks all, but it still doesn't work for when we check or uncheck this. I mean, it's updating the single source of truth like you see there, but it's not updating our to-do items. So let me quickly show you the case in here. So when we check it, the single source of truth is correct, completed true, and completed true. But if we look at here, completed is false. So how are we going to fix that? We can fix that with a watcher. So a watcher is just a way to watch props and when they change. So we're going to listen for when this check all prop changes. And if it's true, then we want to set the completed for this to-do item to be true. So let's try that again. So it's true and it propagates down, and now these are completed. So completed is true, but it doesn't uncheck them. So we have to take care of that case as well. And to do that, we just do an else. This completed is not false because that will produce a weird effect. We actually want to set it to the to do completed, and that should take care of it. So if we check one, check all, it should check all, and then if I uncheck it, it should uncheck all, and it does. Does this still work? It does. Uncheck it. Okay, everything looks like it's working. That still works. Clear completed still works. The components still work. See if these still work. So active is 1, completed should be 1. Yep, everything still works. Cool. We can shorten this statement using a ternary if you want. Let me just leave that there. This completed is this check all question mark true this dot to do dot completed, and that should work the same way. Check all works, check all, remove all. Okay, cool. At this point, we can remove all of the things we no longer need in this parent component. For example, what else don't we need here? We don't need this. Done edit, cancel edit, and yeah, that's it. And our code is a little bit cleaner. I just noticed that we should also move this custom directives from the parent component into our child component. This probably doesn't focus after we double click, and it doesn't. So let's move that here. So right here, let's paste that in and save this as well. And now after we double click, it should focus, and it does. Cool. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to extract one component, and I showed you how to communicate between the two using props and events. In the next video, we'll take a look at another form of communicating between components using an event bus. An event bus is a bit more robust than this way of communicating in the fact that it allows sibling components to communicate, and maybe even grandparents and other components. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.